There is a paradox that many people live with every single day. The people we love the most are often the very people who receive the worst of our anger. It might be our parents, our children, or our partner. Have you ever noticed that? There are times when you miss someone so much that all you want is to see them. But the moment you're together, all it takes is one tiny thing that doesn't go as expected, and irritation begins to rise. You become critical. You grow cold. You say things that leave both of you hurting. And when it's all over, you look in the mirror and wonder, why did I do that? I could have said that differently. Why do I always hurt the people I love? That is the real pain. Not the argument itself, but the feeling of helplessness when you watch yourself unable to control the emotions surging inside you. It's knowing that you're hurting someone you love and still feeling unable to stop. It's when you've promised yourself, next time I'll handle it better. And yet somehow, it happens again. All it takes is a careless remark, a distant look, a delayed reply, an action that falls short of your expectations. And suddenly, something inside you is triggered. If you see a part of yourself in this, I want to tell you something. You are not a bad person. You are not lacking in love. Quite the opposite. It is because this person matters so much, because you care so deeply, that a part of you begins to feel afraid. And that fear is shaping the way you react. My name is Zoe. Before I learned how to navigate my mind and work with my emotions, I spent many years struggling with the wounds I carried within. I am not here to tell you how to live. I simply want to share the insights and practices that helped me find my way out of the darkness. Most people believe, I'm angry because the other person did something wrong. But beneath that anger, an invisible process is unfolding. Imagine your partner has read your message, but hours pass and they still haven't replied. What appears first? Most people think, I'm angry because they disrespected me. But underneath the anger, the very first moment sounds more like, what happened? Then, do I not matter anymore? Then, is he getting tired of me? And then, am I about to be abandoned? Only when that fear becomes too unbearable does it turn into, you don't care about me? That isn't anger, it's fear. Only when that fear becomes too uncomfortable to hold does it wear the mask of anger. And the same thing happens in so many relationships. We think we're fighting the other person, but in truth, we are fighting the fear within ourselves. You are not angry because you hate them. You are angry because they have wounded an expectation you were carrying inside. The truth is, we only feel disappointed by the people we place our hopes in. Pause for a moment and reflect. None of us place many expectations on strangers, do we? We only begin to feel disappointed when a bond has been formed. The moment someone becomes a spouse, a romantic partner, a parent, an entire system of expectations quietly awakens within us. And it is excessive expectations that gives birth to disappointment, which, in turn, becomes the root of so much conflict in our lives. I'm not saying we should abandon all expectations. If we did, perhaps we would lose the motivation to build meaningful relationships at all. What I am saying is this: be careful with the expectations you never speak aloud, yet secretly hope others will somehow understand. Because the greatest distance between two people is not physical distance. It is the unspoken words that remain locked inside the heart. When we choose silence and expect others to just know, we unknowingly hand them a test without ever showing them the questions. And when they fail, the one who ends up hurt the most is often ourselves. But for a child, that expectation is something far greater, far more primal. Could it be that, because of that deep yearning for an empathetic mother, that resentment takes root the moment her words turn cruel? The moment reality drifts away from what we hoped for, a chain reaction begins. And anger arrives like a suit of armor, hiding the trembling fear underneath. But do you know what the greatest tragedy is? That child eventually grows up, carrying that same armor into new relationships. When the armor of anger has been worn for too long, it sinks into the skin, and one day, standing before the people they love most, they unconsciously speak the same harsh words their mother once spoke to them.
No.
In a heartbreaking way, we end up using the very weapon that once made us bleed to pass the pain on to the next generation. And so the cycle continues, again and again, simply because wounds were never named and never healed. Think about your partner. Perhaps she too carries a heart marked by the wounds of her own childhood. And then, under the name of love, two people carrying invisible pain move closer to one another. The moment they collide, one person's wounds immediately awaken the wounds of the other. It reminds me of the story of two porcupines on a freezing winter night. Desperate for warmth, they move closer together, trying to hold one another against the cold. But the moment they touch, their sharp quills pierce each other's skin. The pain becomes too much to bear, and so they pull away once again, creating distance between them. The truth is, deep within us lies an inner world. The pain you feel, the anger you carry, may not actually come from another person's actions. It often comes from being trapped within the expectations and assumptions of your own making. You do not suffer because of reality. You suffer because reality did not unfold the way you wanted it to. We quietly nurture expectations, hoping for children who are obedient and well-behaved, a husband who is attentive and caring, or a wife who is gentle and beautiful. We create these rules within ourselves, then expect others to live by them. And when they don't, our inner world collapses. At that moment, anger is nothing more than the helpless cry of the ego, realizing it cannot control the world around it. The path of transformation. The first key: gently lower your expectations. If you can, lower your expectations, just a little. This isn't surrender, it isn't giving up. It is freeing both yourself and others from the invisible burden of perfection. Instead of silently expecting people to read your mind, learn to express your needs, calmly and openly. The second key: step into their world. When you feel dissatisfied with someone, pause for a moment, before anger takes over. Place yourself in their shoes. Perhaps they have just lived through an exhausting day. When you begin to see that their actions were never meant to hurt you, but were simply born out of overwhelm, something inside you softens. The anger loses its grip. You no longer see them through the lens of judgment. You see them through the eyes of compassion. And the most essential key of all? Turn inward and heal the wounds within. Any compassion you wish to offer the world will remain out of reach if you have not yet learned to offer that same compassion to yourself. If you keep punishing yourself for every time you were not good enough, if there is still a courtroom inside your mind constantly putting you on trial, then without realizing it, you will turn that same lens toward others, searching for their flaws, judging their mistakes. Right now, I invite you to pause. Be gentle. Offer yourself kindness. Let yourself heal. Only when you are willing to turn inward, to face and release the wounds that are still bleeding inside, can the true wellspring of compassion begin to flow, like the vast ocean embracing every river. Whether their waters are clear or muddy, all of them find stillness and depth within the heart of the sea. And it is within that inner peace that the inherited cycle of pain can finally come to an end. No one else can carry that responsibility for us. Understanding the cause is only the first step. The greater challenge is practicing each day until that understanding becomes part of the way we live. That is why I created the 7-Day Inner Journey, a completely free experience designed to walk with you each day, helping you master your mind and transform the deepest emotional wounds you carry. I am not here to offer distant theories. I am here to share practical tools, real change you can genuinely embody. Support for your journey inward as you discover who you truly are and return to a life of inner peace and freedom.